Afternoon. I welcome you all to this Facebook talk today. I'm Dr. Praveen, a urologist from Kerala. I'm visiting Naseem Al Rabi as a consultant urologist. I do come here every month in the first week, Saturdays and Sundays. And today I'm here with a topic for you, that is prostate problems in males. Prostate gland, as you know, is an organ which is concerned with the male reproductive system. Basically, this is a small gland of the size of a walnut, and it is situated exactly below the urinary bladder. And this gland actually wraps the urinary passage which goes from the bladder out. That is, we call it as urethra. So there are so many diseases that can affect the prostate gland, and this is exclusively seen only in males. The commonest problem is that is seen in an elderly male. We call it as a BPH, which is nothing but the benign enlargement of the prostate gland, and that's a very common problem seen. And we can also have an infection of the prostate gland, which can be an acute infection, which is called as acute prostatitis, or it can be a chronic, long-standing infection of the prostate, which is called as chronic prostatitis. The third common problem which is seen in prostate is, of course, the cancer of the prostate. So there are some doubts which have been raised by the viewers. I will straight away go into those questions which have been put forward. The first question was, sir, my father is aged 70 years. He had a total blockage of his urine passage a week ago, and he was diagnosed to have a prostate problem after a series of tests, and the doctor has recommended surgery for it. Now, is there any alternative other than surgery? Okay. See, this is a very common problem. As I was telling you, the problem of BPH, that is the benign enlargement of the prostate, which is usually seen in an elderly male. So now, usually the presenting symptoms might be there earlier. That is, before the patient goes in for a complete blockage, there might be some mild symptoms like difficulty in passing urine or a pain in urination, or there can be a frequency or urgency, and all sort of symptoms might be there for a long time. And if these symptoms are left untreated, the patient can go in for a complete blockage, and this is called as retention of urine. Now, when a patient goes to the hospital with the symptom of retention of urine, he always has a pain in the lower abdomen, and he finds it completely difficult to pass urine. So this we say it as retention. So the procedure which is being done is to put in a tube inside the bladder. So the tube is called as catheter. So many a time, even if a catheter is being put, there is no necessity to go for a surgery. The protocol which is usually followed by all of us is, following a catheterization, the patient has started on some medicines to relieve the obstruction. Now the medicines are of two types. One medicine is to relieve the obstruction, and the other medicine is to reduce the size of the prostate gland. So these two medicines will be started immediately, and the patient will be asked to come back in 3 days' time, and usually we will try to remove the catheter, and we will give a trial of normal urination. If the patient is able to void by, that is, if the patient is able to pass urine by himself without any difficulty, then he will be asked to continue the medicines which have been given earlier as a lifelong medications. But if this fails, again the patient goes in for another blockage, then that is an indication for surgery. So many times this will not be required, and usually this can be managed by medicines also. The second question is surgery the only option for prostate enlargement? Are there minimally invasive surgeries for prostate problems? No, sir, as I told you already, surgery is not the only choice for management of prostate enlargement. We have definitive indications when we have to go for surgery. There are 5 main indications. That is, one is if the patient, despite putting the patient on medical therapy, the patient starts to have repeated blockade. So again and again he goes in for retention of urine. That is an indication for surgery. The other indications are presence of bleeding while passing urine, recurrence of infections, formation of stones in the urinary bladder, and complication of kidney failure as a result of prostate enlargement. So these are the 5 indications where we need to think about surgery. Apart from that, medical therapy usually succeeds. And the second thing that was asked for, are there minimally invasive surgeries for prostate? Yes, prostate surgery it's only minimally invasive. So it's called as endoscopic surgery, wherein we pass in a small endoscope through the urethra, and the blocking prostate gland is tried to remove through the urethral passage itself. So we have so many types of surgeries by endoscopy. The commonest surgery which is performed is called as TURP, which is nothing but transurethral resection of prostate gland. And most recently we have also got the laser, and the removal of the endoscopic removal of the prostate by using laser is called as Holmium laser enucleation of prostate. The other question is, my father had cancer prostate diagnosed at the age of 50 years and he expired due to the advanced nature of the disease. Now this is the question by his son. What all steps I must take to prevent cancer? Yes, prostate cancer is one such cancer which is known to run in families. So if you have a brother or a father who had suffered from cancer of the prostate, then you definitely have a certain increased risk of developing prostate cancer in your lifespan. See, there are some definitive risk factors for cancer prostate. So we define them into modifiable risk factors and unmodifiable risk factors. On the unmodifiable risk factors comes the genetic factors. So then in the gene we have got some mutations, and these mutations result in increased incidence of developing cancer prostate. So these factors cannot be modified. So if you have a gene which has gone for mutation, then in your lifetime you have an increased risk of developing prostate cancer. On the other hand, the modifiable risk factors are mainly dietary factors. So what is the risk? If you take a diet which is rich in fat, or you take less of vegetables and less of fruits, then you are more prone to develop CA prostate. And what all steps I should take to develop to prevent CA prostate is, one is, as I told you, the modifiable risk factors has to be looked into. The second thing is, if you have a family member who has suffered cancer prostate, then you have to undergo a screening test for cancer, and we have got a blood test called a PSA test. So that is prostate specific antigen. So this is basically a blood test which can be taken from your body, and you can measure the level of the antigen in your serum. So if the level is more than 4, then there should be some concern regarding that. And also, if there is any doubt regarding the PSA level, we have to consult a urologist and go for a prostatic examination. So with this, we can screen whether we are going in for a malignancy or not. The next question is, he has a youngster, 35-year-old patient. He has been diagnosed to have a urinary infection 6 months back, and he has been treated with multiple courses of antibiotics in the last 6 months, but still there is no response. And now the presenting symptom that he is having is pain while urinating and difficulty in passing urine. And what is the reason for that? Okay, so multiple infections, urinary infections the last 6 months, this could be possibly an infection of the prostate gland. The presenting symptoms of prostatic infection, which is called as prostatitis, are pain while urinating, difficulty in passing urine, and while passing semen there might be pain in the urethral passage. And these symptoms may or may not be associated with fever. So usually the protocol when we are dealing with prostatic infection is, the urine investigations may not throw some light on what organism is infecting the prostate, and the more reliable test will be a semen culture sensitivity. So you take the semen and do an analysis, find out if the bacteria is there or not in the urine. But many times even in the semen culture also, we may not be able to find out the positive bacteria. Anyway, the most important thing is clinical examination of the prostate, and find out if the prostate is painful or not. If it is painful, then it is suspicious of an infection of the prostate gland. The protocol for prostatitis is, it's an extended treatment. That is, you give antibiotics for 2 to 4 weeks duration. So what has probably happened to this patient is, he has been treated multiple times with antibiotics, probably short courses of antibiotics. So the duration has not been adequately given. So many courses have been given, but the treatment was not according to the protocol. So this is a patient who is likely to go in for a complication like a chronic inflammation of the prostate gland, and he can go in for chronic prostatitis. So now I would suggest you, sir, to go for a urological review, and it's better to go for a proper examination of the prostate gland and find out whether it's inflamed or not, and if it is, if there is still some existing infection, then definitely you need a course of antibiotic for a longer duration, and along with that you need some medicines to control the, to remove the blockade also. So this is another similar case. Here is a patient who has been diagnosed to have chronic prostatitis, and he has asked me what is the treatment for that, and is surgery the option for it? Sir, you have not mentioned your age in your case history, and you have not mentioned the other symptoms, whether you are having any obstructed urination or any bleeding while passing urine, whether you have fever or not, and what is the treatment history that you have received. You have not mentioned all those things. But I would just tell you in a nutshell, if it has been labeled as chronic prostatitis, usually it subsides with medical therapy. Surgery is not required. So the medical therapy is decided on certain factors. If you have obstruction, then some medicines needs to be given for controlling the obstruction. If the gland is inflamed, then you need some medicines which are acting as anti-inflammatory. If the doctor suspects an infection, active infection, then you require antibiotics. And apart from the medicines, diet also has a very important role. By diet I mean that a spicy diet has to be avoided, and all non-vegetarian and protein-rich diet should be avoided, because these can increase your symptoms of pain while urination. And always remember, there is no need to panic. If you have chronic prostatitis, you have a long-term symptom, but usually the disease is self-limiting, and it might need a treatment for 6 months or 1 year. Surgery is usually not required. This is another question from one of the viewers. I underwent a surgery for BPH. They did an endoscopic surgery, TEORP, 2 years back. Now again I have poor urinary stream and I strain a lot. Can you suggest some medicines? See, in obstruction post-surgery, there are certain definitive reasons. One, it can be because of a regrowth. So this regrowth usually happens 5 years following surgery. Sorry. This regrowth usually happens 5 years following the surgery. Or this can be because of a residual gland which has been incompletely removed during the initial surgery. So these two things has to be ruled out. And the third reason can be because of a narrowing of the urinary passage anywhere in the post-surgical site. So usually the residual gland, that is if it is like a previous failed surgery or it's a recurrence following the surgery, this usually resolves with medical therapy. But if medical therapy fails, then we have to go for a resurgery. But on the contrary, if it is stricture, then you definitely require a surgery. And it's better to consult your urologist who has done the surgery previously. Okay, now I have ejaculatory problems. This is by one of the patients. I have ejaculatory problems when I take prostate medicines. I am on Omnic Ocas. Can you suggest me some alternative? Okay, see, all the medicines for prostate causes retrograde ejaculation. See, retrograde ejaculation is a phenomenon wherein the semen does not go out from the urethra. On the contrary, it goes inside the bladder, because when we start medicines for BPH, the bladder neck as well as the prostate gland relaxes totally. So whatever semen is coming into the urethra, this gets dissolved, this gets passed into the urinary bladder, and that's called as retrograde ejaculation. But this is not a permanent problem. Once you stop the medicine, this completely gets reversed. And it's seen with all the molecules which can be used for prostate problems. So any medicine that you take, you will have this problem. Another question that has been asked forward is what are the side effects of prostate medicines? There are two main side effects. One, as I have been describing, one is the problem of retrograde ejaculation. And the other side effect which is commonly seen is postural hypotension. So what is postural hypotension? It is basically a transient loss of consciousness or a transient feeling of giddiness when you wake up from the bed or when you get up from the chair. So what happens is these medicines which are useful for prostate enlargement have a small role on the blood vessels also. So it tends to dilate the blood vessels and it results in fall of blood pressure. So many times when the patient suddenly wakes up from the sitting posture, he tends to fall. So this usually is seen in the first and second day after starting the medicines. But gradually the patient gets adapted to it, and after that it does not remain as a permanent side effect. What are the symptoms of cancer prostate and how do you diagnose cancer of the prostate? See, usually prostate cancer is asymptomatic. The symptoms of prostate cancer occur if the urethral passage gets obstructed. So this usually happens in the later stage of the disease, when the gland becomes so enlarged and it blocks the urethra, the patient develops obstruction. So if the patient presents with some obstructive features, he has to consult a doctor. This might be preferably a urologist, and the doctor will do a rectal examination. That is, through the anus, a finger will be passed, and the gland, that is this gland, which is a small gland situated beneath the bladder, will be examined through the rectum. And based on the finger examination, the doctor can assess whether the gland is uniformly firm or if there is any areas of some hardness in the gland. Now the hardness is a indicator whether the gland can be a cancerous one. The second thing is we often do a PSA test, which I already told you. This is a prostate specific antigen test which is being done in the blood. And if in both these tests, PSA and the digital rectal examination, if there is a suspicion of malignancy, then a biopsy, which is a simple test, which is to take the tissues from the prostate using a white bore needle, that will be done, and the specimen will be sent for examination, and based on the biopsy we confirm whether it is cancer or not. Now once the cancer has been confirmed, the next step is to stage the disease, whether the disease is confined only to the prostate gland or does spread anywhere else in the body. So for that we have investigations like CT scan and a specific investigation called PET scan to diagnose spread anywhere inside the body. So based on the results of the investigations, we decide the treatment. The last question that has been put forward by the viewer is, can prostate cancer be cured? Yes, prostate cancer can definitely be cured. But that depends on the stage in which the disease is diagnosed. If the disease is diagnosed much earlier, that is when the disease is only confined to the prostate gland alone, it does not spread anywhere, then definitely the disease can be cured very well. We have options of doing a total removal of the prostate gland, which is called as radical prostate removal, or you can also go for an option of a radical radiotherapy to the gland. So this has got excellent result and gives a cure to the patient. And if you have a disease which is extended to the nearby organs or to the nearby glands called the lymph nodes, then the disease becomes a locally advanced prostate cancer. Then the results are, the cure rate becomes 50-50. So this patient can respond very well and can get cured, but sometimes the patient can progress for an advanced disease also. So the usual treatment when the patient presents with a locally advanced prostate cancer is a combination of therapies like a hormone therapy with the radiation. And the last is the patient with the usually who presents with a disease which is extended all the organs, lungs, lymph nodes, bone, liver, everywhere inside the body. So that is the stage which we call as advanced cancer prostate, and the prognosis is usually dismal. So the only option of treatment for advanced metastatic prostate cancer is basically a palliative treatment where the disease cannot be cured, and you put the patient on hormone therapy or a chemotherapy. So with this I finish off my talk, and thank you all for the wonderful questions that has been raised forward. See you once again. Bye.